Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Have you ever been ignored by someone you care about? Maybe a friend, a colleague, or even someone you love. It's a painful feeling, one that can lead to frustration, insecurity, and even self doubt. When we don't get the attention or response we expect, it's easy to react emotionally. But today, I want to talk about three common mistakes people make when they are ignored and why avoiding them will help you maintain your self respect and peace of mind. One of the biggest mistakes people make when someone ignores them is immediately trying to regain their attention at all costs. It's natural to feel confused, frustrated, or even hurt when someone suddenly becomes distant. In response, many people start calling, texting, or trying to meet the person just to get some kind of reaction. However, this often has the opposite effect. It pushes them further away. When someone ignores you, it's crucial to understand that their silence is already a form of communication. Whether it's intentional or not, they are sending a message that they need distance, time, or simply don't prioritize the conversation at that moment. Chasing after them won't make them respond any faster, nor will it make them value you more. In fact, it might make you appear desperate or overly dependent on their validation. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where someone kept messaging you repeatedly, even when you clearly needed space? Instead of feeling closer to them, you probably felt overwhelmed or even annoyed. The same principle applies when you chase after someone who is ignoring you. When you give them space, you allow them to process their thoughts, emotions, and whatever might be causing the withdrawal. Additionally, continuously reaching out to someone who is ignoring you can take a toll on your self esteem. Every unanswered message, every ignored call, and every moment of silence can make you question your worth. But your value doesn't decrease just because someone else fails to recognize it. Instead of chasing after someone who is ignoring you, shift your focus inward. Use that time to reflect on your own emotions, engage in activities that bring you joy, and surround yourself with people who actually appreciate your presence. There's a psychological aspect to this as well. When you stop chasing someone, they often start to wonder why. People tend to take others for granted when they are too available. But when you remove your attention, it forces them to reflect on your absence. This doesn't mean you should ignore them out of spite, but rather that you should focus on yourself and let them come back if they truly care. If they don't, then they were never meant to stay in your life. By giving people space instead of constantly seeking their attention, you demonstrate emotional maturity and self respect. You show that while you care, you also understand the importance of balance in relationships. So, the next time you feel the urge to chase after someone who is ignoring you, take a deep breath, step back, and remind yourself that the right people will never make you feel like you have to beg for their attention. When someone ignores us, our minds often go into overdrive, trying to figure out why. It's easy to jump to negative conclusions. Maybe they are mad at us. Maybe they don't care anymore. Or maybe we did something wrong. This overthinking can quickly spiral into self doubt, insecurity, and unnecessary stress. However, assuming the worst without knowing the full story can damage both our peace of mind and our relationships. The reality is that people have their own struggles, responsibilities, and emotions that influence their behavior. They might be dealing with stress at work, family problems, mental health challenges, or simply feeling overwhelmed with life. Sometimes, ignoring messages or avoiding interactions has nothing to do with us personally, it's just their way of coping with their own issues. Instead of taking it as a personal rejection, consider the possibility that they need time to process their own thoughts and emotions. Another common mistake people make when they assume the worst is letting their fears dictate their reactions. If you believe someone is ignoring you because they are upset with you, You might start over apologizing or trying too hard to fix something that was never broken. On the other hand, if you assume they don't care about you anymore, you might pull away or respond with anger, creating unnecessary tension. In both cases, assuming the worst can lead to actions that hurt the relationship instead of strengthening it. Furthermore, when we assume negative intentions, we start to create a false narrative in our minds. We begin to analyze past conversations, look for hidden meanings in their last messages, or even convince ourselves that we are not good enough. This kind of thinking can harm our self esteem and make us feel rejected when, in reality, the other person might not even be aware of how their silence is affecting us. Instead of assuming the worst, try to give people the benefit of the doubt. If someone's silence is bothering you, the best approach is open and honest communication. A simple message like, "Hey, I noticed you've been distant lately. I hope everything is okay. Let me know if you need anything," can show that you care without coming across as needy or demanding. This approach allows them to respond when they are ready without feeling pressured. It's also important to practice self-awareness and emotional control. Not everyone will respond to messages instantly, and not every ignored call means something is wrong. Learning to be patient and understanding will help you maintain a sense of calm even when communication slows down. Remind yourself that your worth is not defined by someone else's attention. You don't need constant validation from others to know that you are important, valued, and respected. By shifting your mindset away from negative assumptions, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and emotional turmoil. You begin to see relationships more clearly without the cloud of fear and insecurity. When you trust that people have their reasons and allow them the space to explain themselves, you create healthier, more balanced interactions. When someone ignores us, it's natural to feel hurt, frustrated, or even angry. Nobody likes feeling unimportant or overlooked. In response to this emotional pain, some people resort to retaliation or mind games to get back at the person ignoring them. This could involve ignoring them in return, giving them the silent treatment, acting passive aggressive, or even posting indirect messages on social media to get their attention. While these reactions may feel satisfying in the moment, they often do more harm than good in the long run. One of the most common ways people retaliate is by mirroring the other person's behavior. If they ignore you, you give them back. This approach might seem like a way to protect your pride, but it rarely leads to a positive outcome. Instead of resolving the situation, it creates further distance and makes communication even harder. Sometimes the other person might not even realize they were being distant, and by ignoring them back, you make it seem like you are the one being cold or uninterested. This can lead to misunderstandings and unnecessary emotional strain. Another unhealthy response is using passive aggression. This might include making sarcastic remarks, acting distant while pretending nothing is wrong, or dropping hints instead of directly addressing the issue. For example, someone might say, "I guess you're too busy for me now," or "I didn't think you'd bother responding anyway." While these comments may seem small, they create an atmosphere of tension and discomfort. Instead of encouraging open communication, they push people further away. Nobody likes to feel manipulated or guilt-tripped into talking. Social media is another platform where people play mind games when they feel ignored. Some post vague, emotional statuses hoping the person will notice and feel guilty. Others might intentionally post pictures or updates to make it seem like they are having fun without the person who ignored them. While these tactics may get attention, they don't solve the real issue. Instead, they can make you seem emotionally immature or overly dramatic, which can hurt your reputation and relationships. Seeking revenge is another dangerous mistake. Some people, out of anger, might try to make the other person jealous by flirting with someone else, talking negatively about them, or even blocking them out of spite. These actions might provide temporary relief, but they often lead to regret. When emotions settle, you may realize that your response only made things worse. Instead of improving the relationship, you may have burned bridges that could have been mended with patience and understanding. A mature response, on the other hand, is far more powerful than any form of retaliation. If you feel ignored, take a step back and assess the situation with a calm mind. Ask yourself, is this a pattern, or could there be a genuine reason for their silence? If it's a one-time thing, it might be best to let it go and allow them time to respond. If it's a repeated issue, then a direct conversation is the best approach. Instead of reacting emotionally, simply say, I noticed you've been distant lately. If something is wrong, I'd rather talk about it. This approach is respectful and mature, showing that you value open communication over petty games. Finally, it's important to remember that not everyone deserves an emotional reaction from you. If someone is consistently ignoring you without explanation, it may be a sign that they don't respect your presence in their life. In such cases, the best response isn't revenge, it's detachment. Instead of trying to prove a point or make them feel guilty, shift your focus to people who genuinely appreciate you. Silence can be a powerful response, but only when it comes from a place of self-respect, not manipulation. When someone ignores us, it's easy to start questioning our self-worth. We wonder, am I not interesting enough? Did I do something wrong? Am I not important to them? These thoughts can create a deep sense of insecurity, making us believe that our value depends on how others treat us. But the truth is, your worth is not defined by someone else's attention or lack of it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is tying their self-esteem to external validation. If someone is responsive and engaging, they feel happy and confident. But if that same person becomes distant or unresponsive, their mood instantly drops and they start to feel unworthy. This kind of thinking is dangerous because it places our happiness in the hands of others. When we allow other people's behavior to control how we feel about ourselves, we give away our power. It's important to recognize that being ignored by someone doesn't mean you are unimportant. It simply means that, for whatever reason, they are not prioritizing you at that moment. This could be due to their own personal issues, distractions, or even their personality. Some people are naturally bad at communication, while others don't realize the impact their silence has. Either way, their actions or inactions don't define who you are. Think about the people you admire the most, whether it's a celebrity, a successful entrepreneur, or even a strong and confident person in your own life. Do you think they spend their time worrying about who is ignoring them? No, they focus on their goals, their passions, and their own self-growth. They don't let someone's lack of attention shake their confidence. This is the mindset you need to develop. Instead of worrying about why someone isn't responding to you, shift your focus to things that make you feel fulfilled. Another thing to consider is that not everyone is meant to stay in your life. Sometimes being ignored is a sign that a relationship is fading or that the person isn't as invested in the connection as you are. And that's okay. Instead of chasing after people who don't see your worth, invest your time in those who do. Real friendships and meaningful relationships don't require you to constantly fight for attention. The right people will always make an effort to be in your life. Additionally, practicing self-love and self-respect is key to overcoming the pain of being ignored. When you truly value yourself, you don't need constant reassurance from others. You know that you bring something unique to the table, and if someone fails to see that, it's their loss, not yours. Confidence comes from within, and the more you believe in yourself, the less affected you'll be by someone else's actions. Lastly, remind yourself that life is too short to dwell on those who don't appreciate you. Instead of waiting around for someone to notice you, spend your time improving yourself, pursuing your passions, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you. The moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you truly become free. When someone ignores us, it's easy to feel like we have to fight for their attention or constantly remind them of our presence. But the truth is, people who genuinely care about you will always find a way to reach out, no matter how busy or distracted they are. You should never have to beg for someone's time, affection, or communication. Real relationships don't require that kind of struggle. In life, we naturally make time for the things and people we truly value. Think about your own priorities. No matter how busy you are, if someone you deeply care about reaches out, you make an effort to respond, even if it's just a quick message to let them know you'll talk later. The same principle applies to others. If someone genuinely values you, they won't leave you wondering where you stand in their life. They will make it clear through their actions, not just their words. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to force communication. They send multiple texts, call repeatedly, or try to create situations where the other person has no choice but to talk to them. But relationships should never feel one-sided. If you always have to be the one initiating conversations, making plans, or trying to keep the connection alive, it's a sign that the other person may not care as much as you do. And that's a hard truth to accept, but it's an important one. It's also essential to recognize that some people communicate differently. Not everyone expresses care in the same way, and some individuals struggle with communication due to their personality, upbringing, or past experiences. However, even with different communication styles, effort is still noticeable. Someone who genuinely cares may not text every day, but they will check in when it matters. They will remember important details about your life, ask how you're doing, and make sure you feel valued. On the other hand, if someone repeatedly ignores you, fails to respond, or only reaches out when they need something, it's a sign that they may not prioritize you in the same way you do them. Instead of making excuses for their behavior, pay attention to the patterns. One-time situations or temporary busyness are understandable, but consistent neglect is a reflection of their priorities. You deserve relationships that are mutual, where both sides put in effort to stay connected. Another key thing to remember is that effort should be natural, not forced. If you constantly have to remind someone to check in on you, to reply to your messages, or to make time for you, then their actions aren't coming from a place of genuine care, they're coming from obligation. And relationships built on obligation rarely last. True connection happens when both people genuinely want to be in each other's lives and show it through consistent effort. If someone truly values you, they will make an effort, even in small ways. It doesn't always have to be grand gestures or long conversations. Sometimes a simple, "Hey, I was thinking about you or hope you're doing well," is enough to show they care. When people make no effort at all, it's often a clear message that they are not as invested in the relationship as you are. And in that case, you must ask yourself, do I really want to keep holding on to someone who isn't holding on to me? When someone ignores you, the immediate emotional response is often frustration, sadness, or even anger. You might feel tempted to react impulsively, to send a long message demanding an explanation, to act out of spite, or to overanalyze every interaction. However, reacting emotionally without thinking can often make the situation worse. Instead of acting based on temporary feelings, it's important to focus on maintaining your self-respect and emotional balance. Self-respect means understanding that your worth does not depend on someone else's attention or validation. If someone chooses to ignore you, whether intentionally or not, your reaction should not be to beg for their attention or to lower yourself to the level of desperation. Doing so only gives them more power over your emotions. Instead, remind yourself that you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. People who truly appreciate you will never make you feel invisible or unimportant. One of the most powerful things you can do when faced with silence is to practice emotional balance. This means learning to control your reactions and not letting another person's behavior dictate your mood. If you allow yourself to be deeply affected every time someone ignores you, you will constantly feel powerless in your relationships. But when you develop emotional resilience, you can recognize that their actions are a reflection of them, not you. Think about it this way: if someone ignores you without a valid reason, they are showing you who they are. You have a choice in how you respond. You can either let their behavior disturb your inner peace, or you can choose to rise above it. People with strong self respect don't waste time chasing after those who don't appreciate them. Instead, they focus their energy on things that bring them joy, fulfillment, and growth. Another important aspect of emotional balance is practicing patience. Sometimes our emotions convince us that we need an immediate resolution. We feel like we must get a response, we must know why they are ignoring us, or we must take action right away. But not everything needs an instant reaction. Taking a step back and giving the situation time can often bring clarity. Maybe they are dealing with something personal, maybe they need space, or maybe their silence is a blessing in disguise, showing you that they were never meant to be a long-term part of your life. Developing emotional balance also means knowing when to walk away. If someone repeatedly disrespects your time and emotions by ignoring you, you don't have to keep trying to make the relationship work. You are allowed to let go of people who don't value you. Walking away is not weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows that you respect yourself enough to not settle for half-hearted relationships. Additionally, focusing on self-respect means not seeking revenge or playing games. Some people, when ignored, try to retaliate by ignoring the other person in return, making them jealous or spreading negativity. But this only creates unnecessary drama and keeps you emotionally tied to the person who hurt you. The best revenge is not revenge at all, it's moving forward with dignity. The moment you stop seeking validation from someone who ignores you, you regain your power. At the core of it all, self-respect and emotional balance allow you to remain in control of your own happiness. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to choose your battles wisely. Instead of obsessing over people who don't appreciate you, you focus on those who do. Instead of wasting energy on temporary disappointments, you invest in long-term personal growth. And when you live with this mindset, you naturally attract people who respect and value you just as much as you respect and value yourself. When someone ignores you, it can feel like your entire world is revolving around their silence. You may find yourself constantly checking your phone, rereading past conversations, and overanalyzing what went wrong. This kind of thinking keeps you stuck in a cycle of emotional distress and self-doubt. But instead of obsessing over someone's lack of response, the best thing you can do is redirect your focus toward things that bring you happiness, fulfillment, and self-improvement. One of the most effective ways to regain control of your emotions is to engage in activities that nourish your mind, body, and soul. This could be anything from picking up a new hobby, exercising, reading, or working toward personal or professional goals. When you immerse yourself in activities that make you feel accomplished and happy, you naturally stop fixating on the people who are not making an effort in your life. You begin to realize that your world is much bigger than one person's attention or approval. Another powerful way to shift your focus is by surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people. Spend time with friends and family who appreciate and uplift you. Engage in meaningful conversations, share laughter, and create new experiences with those who genuinely care about you. When you invest your time and energy in people who reciprocate your efforts, you will no longer feel the need to chase after those who don't. Personal growth is another crucial aspect of moving forward. Use this time as an opportunity to improve yourself mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. Set new goals, challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone, and work on becoming the best version of yourself. Whether it's learning a new skill, advancing in your career, or practicing self care, every step you take toward growth helps build your confidence and resilience. It's also important to practice mindfulness and gratitude. Instead of dwelling on what is lacking in your life, focus on what you already have. Each day, take a moment to appreciate the good things: your health, your achievements, your strengths, and the love you receive from others. When you cultivate a mindset of gratitude, you become less dependent on external validation and more content with yourself. Additionally, stepping away from social media can help reduce feelings of rejection or comparison. In today's digital age, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring our self-worth based on online interactions. If someone ignores you, you might be tempted to check their social media, wondering if they are interacting with others while avoiding you. This only adds to your emotional distress. Instead of fixating on what they are doing, take a break from social media and focus on real-life experiences that bring you joy. Lastly, remember that life is constantly moving forward, and so should you. Holding on to the disappointment of being ignored only holds you back from experiencing new opportunities and connections. The people who truly matter will never make you feel invisible. And the more you invest in your own happiness and growth, the less concerned you'll be about those who fail to recognize your worth. At the end of the day, being ignored by someone can be painful, but how you respond to it is entirely within your control. Instead of making the mistakes of overreacting, chasing after someone's attention, or lowering your self-worth, choose to rise above the situation with dignity and self-respect. Remember, your value is not determined by someone else's ability to see it. The right people, those who genuinely care about you, will never make you question your importance in their lives. So instead of dwelling on those who ignore you, focus on yourself. Invest in your growth, surround yourself with people who uplift you, and engage in things that bring you joy. Life is too short to waste energy on people who do not appreciate you. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that you deserve relationships that are mutual, fulfilling, and built on respect. And most importantly, never forget, when you prioritize yourself, you attract people who will do the same. Keep moving forward, because the best version of your life is still ahead of you.